Welcome to Amateur Hour Sports. I'm your host, Trent, with my co-host, Jake here. We got a big free agency video for you. We got a lot to talk about. Bills, NFL, top free agents. And we're doing this in the middle of a quarantine, so it should be pretty fun.
Yeah.
There's what's going on, so we appreciate you, rolling with us and sticking with us during this time. Jake, anything you want to start off with?
It's been, a long hiatus since we last made a video, but a lot has changed, being in quarantine and all. But I hope everyone out there is safe and, social distancing and, no sports on TV. So you guys can just come to our videos and keep up with all the latest on free agency and the upcoming draft.
Let's kick it off with the Bills. Bills made quite a few moves this offseason so far. Most notably, trading for Stefon Diggs, wide receiver from the Vikings. Stefon Diggs, there's a lot to like about him. I think the Bills finally got their number one guy and puts him in a room with John Brown, Cole Beasley. They did trade, quite a lot of assets. First round pick, fifth round pick, sixth round pick, and then a fourth round pick next year. And then they also got a seventh round pick back from the Vikings. But overall, if that's what you got to trade for number one guy, like that seems like a reasonable price for a guy like Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, especially the fact that we were, that's the one thing that we always hit on in our past videos was that need for that guy who can just take it over the top and such a good route runner. And Stefon Diggs is, one of the top route runners, and his speed is unmatched, I think, in my opinion. Definitely in the NFC the past year. But, if you think about it, and we're going to go over these acquisitions that we made, we signed some guys from free agency that we probably would have, used on those draft picks. So it's kind of evening out. So I wouldn't say obviously you want to have those draft assets, but, with free agency, you can kind of make it up to that. And the guys that we're picking up have experience in the NFL, so a little more low risk.
Yeah, when you think about it, giving up the draft capital, it's like the Bills made their first round pick with Stefon Diggs.
Yeah.
They made him at 22, and to be honest, at 22, we'll talk about another video with all the wide receivers in this draft, but you weren't going to get one of those top three guys anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
a guy so proven.
Yeah, this guy's proven. He has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He's a top 10 receiver in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And I think this move just shows that the Bills are, thinking about this season, maybe next season, as a short little window, this 2-year period where they're going to go for it and go for it big. Yeah. And I think that's awesome. I think, when have we ever been in a position where we're like, we're going to go for it this year?
Yeah, and this is a move like definitely Tom Brady leaving the Patriots. This is a move that is like, all right, this is our division. Like, we're going to own it. And I love that. And my point also is, with the 22nd pick in the first round, that's not a top 10 pick. And the guys in the top 10, those guys are proven to be like stars in the NFL, most likely. And we have the 22nd pick. Who says that all those good wide receivers that we were looking for in this draft were going to even be there? So, I think this is the safe pick. This is a big baller bean move.
Yeah,
that's what I like to say.
Dude, I agree too. I was stoked when I found that out. Like, I was freaking out. I was screaming around the thing. I went on Madden. I traded Stefon Diggs to my Madden team, and I was just like jamming out. It's awesome. It's like, to be honest, I feel a lot safer with Stefon Diggs than I would, a rookie receiver who has to develop. I don't know. It's just a safer bet. Like we just said, it's a win now move, and I think that's where the Bills are. We don't want to wait a couple of years for a wide receiver to develop.
100%. Do you think, like going back to this year, he had some, questionable character issues, as missing practices and having some arguments with Kirk Cousins. Do you think that is a one-time thing, or do you think we should kind of be worried about him and the culture that we have, or do you think he'll be just fine?
Yeah, there's two ways you can think about it. One, that's probably the biggest concern out of this whole thing is just like his attitude. It was coming up last season. I don't really think it was, a huge deal in his past. I think, he was frustrated with whatever was going on in Minnesota, and I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a recurring thing, but also to the culture standpoint of the Bills, why you have a strong culture is because you have a lot of guys that buy in, whatever. But that allows you to get somebody who maybe isn't the best attitude, whatever. But you can bring him in your culture, and your culture is going to be fine. Like
Yeah,
that is established. It's not like he's going to just tear apart the locker room. It's like we
that's
have
true.
set
Yeah, good
leaders.
point.
Like I think there's a big enough foundation in the culture that it's like it's not going to be a move, where he's like destroying our locker room sort of thing. So yeah, I mean
think
it's something to keep in mind. But
yeah, I also, and like kind of a more extreme approach. My other concern with him is he's a dome player. I mean, 8 games a year he's in the dome.
okay.
So, we gotta like look out for that at the end of the season,
Yeah,
how he holds up durability wise, and like hits are gonna hurt a lot more in the cold than they will in the
true.
dome towards the end of the season. And is he gonna be that tough receiver, or is he kind of gonna be like a prima donna?
Yeah.
So I'll be looking for that a little bit, but
Okay.
I don't really worry about it too much.
Yeah. No, neither do I. Overall, just great move, and we made a bunch of other moves too. Early on, we signed Josh Norman, who's probably the biggest name other than Stefon Diggs that we signed to 1-year deal. We also got Mario Addison, who's 32 years old, but he's had 9 sacks each of the last 4 seasons, at
Yeah.
least 9 sacks. AJ Klein to fill in for that strong linebacker spot. Tyler Matakevich, I believe. He's a special teams
Matakovich,
guy,
yeah.
something like that. Quentin Jefferson, who Stefon Diggs was traded, but Quentin Jefferson could probably be our best free agency signing.
Oh yeah.
Coming over from Seattle Seahawks, and he'll be on the D line.
Mm-hmm.
Vernon Butler, another D line guy. Taiwan Jones and EJ Gaines, who are both former Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Taiwan Jones. That's funny.
who ended
Who
our
had the
season last
yeah.
year. Craziest play ever from Deshaun Watson. But overall, I mean, I think that's a really solid class. I think they addressed a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, we had a lot on the D line, cornerback, get more linebacker depth, and we still have the draft. So it's like I think Brandon Beane, he had a really good first couple days in free agency and filled voids. And I don't know who's someone who sticks out that you're really looking forward to next year.
I'd have to say Quentin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Just because we're losing Jordan Phillips to the Cardinals, who we'll talk about a little bit, but Jordan Phillips had 9.5 sacks last year, and I mean quite possibly one of the best seasons of his career. And we're bringing in a guy who's been proven more than Jordan Phillips. So I'm really excited to see him get on that D line and that rotation with him and Ed Oliver and all the other
Harrison
guys.
Phillips will be
Yeah.
healthy.
I totally forgot about him coming back from the ACL. That will be
Yeah.
huge boost back, more bodies. So
I
I
think we
think
have good rotation there.
yeah, I think that'll be a good rotation. So I'm really looking forward to him getting on the field and kind of muddying the waters and the holes. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say the same thing. Quentin Jefferson. I think maybe Josh Norman, Mario Addison, both Carolina Panthers with Sean McDermott over there. I think with Norman, it is worrisome that he's probably on the tail end of his career. However, I know in Washington he was in a lot of man coverage, and Bills play a lot of zone, and McDermott does really well building cornerbacks. So it is. I was a little hesitant. It's a big name that I think he brings a good attitude, and he'll compete. And I think you can never have enough of those guys. I don't think he's has his best football ahead of him, but as long as he can fill in, like I don't really think he'll be our number 2 cornerback. At least I hope not. But I think he's provides good depth and leadership. And then Mario Addison is another one who's. I mean, he's 32 years old, but the guy's just produced every single year.
Yeah.
Especially the past 4 years. Let me pull up his stats real quick. So Mario Addison had 9.5 sacks last year, 9 the year before that, 11 the year before that, and 9.5 the year before that.
Oh,
so
man's a machine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from going back to 2016, he was 29 years old, and ever since then, he's had at least 9 sacks every single season, and that's huge.
Yeah,
so,
just that fills the void of losing Phillips with just sack numbers total
totally.
and everything.
I would be happy with like 6 sacks from him.
Yeah.
I still think we have, players we could add on the defensive line, like the end specifically. But I think that was good, solid pickup.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And I just overall like just talking in general with everybody, I think we addressed the position that we kind of lost somebody because we just lost Kevin Johnson to the Browns, so
Yeah.
we need Josh Norman to step in. Losing Phillips, Jefferson, and then Addison could also probably play interior as well if you want.
Yeah.
And then also,
We signed EJ
losing,
Gaines today.
yeah,
It was, Thursday.
losing Lorenzo Alexander, we got AJ Klein to
Yeah.
come in. So we addressed all those positions that we lost some veteran guys in, and that's huge signing veteran guys to those positions, and
Yeah.
as
Totally.
opposed to drafting them. So
Totally. Yeah. No, I think there's a lot to like from this free agency, and it's not over. I mean, we're still going to be signing guys. I guess my last thing as far as maybe needs would be I still think we need a running back. I think Singletary is great, but I would love to see either a two-headed monster. I would even love three guys back there that could tote the rock and just swap in and out, keep everybody fresh,
yeah,
keep Singletary fresh. There's a couple guys left in free agency that might be a good fit, like Devonta Freeman from the Falcons and Carlos Hyde. But they also could add somebody in the draft. Again, they're still, I mean, a long time until the season, so I don't think that running back room is close to being finished. But
no,
something to keep in mind maybe moving forward.
yeah. I think that's probably if I have to think, we'll probably address in the draft.
Yeah.
But I also want to hit on, I don't think we touched on it, signing Quentin Spain back, re-signing him
Oh, yes,
to a 3-year
yes.
deal. The guy didn't give up a sack last year. That's definitely a guy you want back on your line. Yeah, Mitch Morse, his quote on the Bills' continuity at the offensive line, it just kind of puts it in perspective. Like,
Yeah.
he's never played with such a stable group of guys and not that many changes in the offseason. So that's
Yeah.
awesome coming back for Josh, having like a stable set of guys that he can trust in front of him, build his confidence even more. So
Yeah.
that's a huge re-signing. He's like the cornerstone piece of our offensive line for sure.
Yeah, no, I anytime you can bring back your entire offensive line year to year, like that's huge, and that's,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to grow stronger together, like you're just saying, the continuity. But then Josh will also, just knowing he can trust those guys. Like you said, Quentin Spain didn't give up a single sack last year, so anytime you can bring back all 5 of your offensive linemen is great. It's beyond
great
great.
day.
Yeah. Josh and Brandon Bean are certainly happy with that. Awesome. So I guess where we move next is, where does this put the Bills for 2020? I mean, they're coming off a first-round playoff loss to the Texans. They added key pieces, including number one receiver, which, like you mentioned at the top, we were clamoring for all season. We're like, man, and then that wide receiver room could possibly be, I mean, one of the top trios in the NFL.
Yeah,
With
I mean, I saw a stat that both Diggs and John Brown were the only two receivers with over 1,000 yards, or we're the only two duos on one team now with over 1,000 yards. So,
I mean, that's big. That's great. So where are your expectations for 2020 for these Buffalo Bills?
well, I gotta admit, they're looking at their schedule, going off the strengths of last year's teams, and now that we're playing the NFC West, like our crossover division. I think that's a tough division, especially from last year, if they're going to have like the same strength. All three of the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Rams all could have made the playoffs last year. So there are going to be those are 3 tough games right there. Play the Steelers again. But as in just AFC East terms, this is our division, man. This is the year that you come out and make a statement without Tom Brady in the league. I mean, it shouldn't have mattered before, but like this is really just, you should sell out for this year and kind of like, if prove your dominance, like prove that this is your league for the next so and so years. This is your statement year, in my opinion, and I assume that we're gonna have a really good time in the AFC East, but then again, those other games might not stack up well for our team, but just in the AFC East, this is our division to lose.
Right. I mean, you think about it. So, like you mentioned, we got a pretty tough schedule just looking at it. Got the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Rams, Seahawks,
Hmm.
Steelers.
Yeah.
Cardinals are going to be a lot better. We got to play the Titans, Niners, like Broncos. Even shoot. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's going to be a lot of tough games next year. But luckily for us, the AFC East has to play all of those same teams. So it's like
Yeah.
if you can go 4-2, 5-1, 6-0 in the AFC East, I don't really think those other games are going to matter too much because I mean, even at like 9-7, if they went 9-7, I think I would be pretty happy.
Yeah.
And because that could win them the AFC East still.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tough teams that the AFC East is going to have to play.
Yeah.
So that makes those head-to-head division matchups even more important.
Hmm.
And like you just said, like Brady's are the AFC East. We don't really know where the Patriots are, but like I mean, the Dolphins made a lot of moves. We'll talk about those, and the Jets like solidified their O line. But I really still think the Bills are in just the perfect spot right now to take over, and we'll see. There's a lot to be optimistic about for the Bills heading into 2020.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to put it in terms, the Patriots were at their plateau last year. The Bills were on the way up. The Jets were at the bottom coming up, and the Dolphins were just at actually the bottom.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like, if that in terms of like that kind of sequence, so now the Patriots fell off. Now it's our void to come up and get. So
yeah.
I definitely totally agree with that. Vegas actually has their over under is 9 wins. So I don't know. I'm probably just like gonna press for 9-7 to 10-6. Yeah, I definitely could see them being 9-7 or 10-6 best. So we'll
Yeah.
see. I mean, we definitely can win the division at 9-7, like you said. So,
Yeah, and I mean this, just because we have these tough games doesn't mean we can't win some of these tough
oh
games.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
So
going to show us that we're that good of a team is
right,
winning some of those tough games.
right, totally. Yeah, I mean there's got to be a lot of, like I said, optimism, but also a lot of pressure for the Bills to live up to those expectations this year.